Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. A little update here on what I've got going so far. Remember, if y'all watched the last video, you saw where I picked up this little Vermeer TC24. Well, of course, the starter solenoid it's actually broken, so even if it did work, it wouldn't work. So I've got it off, and I've got to take it to the starter shop. Got to get an oil filter for it. I've got the muffler off just because I had to get to some of the other stuff. I did have to I was going to try to take the injection pump out, but I was able to clean the water out like it sat because there was a bunch in the tank. I drained it. I still got to flush it, but the line's it's not near it, so it should be fine. I blew the line out, cleaned all this line out. I took the injector out, and it actually looked really good. It's in good shape. I did fabricate, I know it's not real pretty, but it does the trick, a starter handle. But the problem with this engine is there's no compression release, and if this thing kicks back, I mean, there's a lot of compression on that engine. So I'm not gonna break my arm trying to crank it. I'll wait till I get the starter solenoid fixed and repaired. I'll have them go through the starter, make sure it's all good. And after that, I'll probably go ahead and pick up an oil filter so when it does run, it doesn't blow that apart. But otherwise, it's all little stuff. I've got to finish cleaning this crap out of here. I don't know if you can see all these leaves and twigs and mud daubers, and there's trash blown in there. I did find the ignition key, which is good. It was tucked in there. Luckily, it was still attached to the cable. Problem is, the switch is it's iffy. I may lube it up. It's real stiff. I may be able to lube it up with some dielectric grease or WD-40 or something and make it work. The throttle cable and the kill cables are both disconnected, because if I can get it running, I'm going to use it I'll just run it off the engine. Now these handles, I was noticing they had these bars on them, and this one actually has a linkage. So I think what happens, and it only works in reverse, if you've got these levers, if you're backing up and you get squished between something, that kicks it in neutral and it pushes the handles back to the neutral position. So it's a safety, because obviously if this thing was to run you over, once it starts, it's going to keep climbing and crushing you until you're gone. So there's that project. As usual, waiting on parts, but it's fine. We're getting ready to go on vacation, so I'm spending this week running around, dropping stuff off, getting some things knocked out. I've got to finish my little rack for all my fuel cans. I got it primed right now. I'm going to paint it. I actually had that in my truck at the very front of the bed, and I could fit 4 cans in it. But I also had a divider here where I could put stuff, and this was further out where 4 cans would fit perfectly. And I actually have 5 cans, so I want to be able to put all of them in there. So I ended up moving this bracket over, and that actually serves double duty because I can chain them together and don't have to pull the whole thing out, every can and all. And it also keeps my welding skid from being all the way up against the front of the bed, because when it's up against the front of the bed, you can't open the toolbox because of the little lip on the front of the bed panel. It's that close. So that compactor, and I also picked up the 3 plate compactors. I have one running already. I mean, it's just a matter of pulling the engine off and throwing another one on it. And I'll show you that to you here in a little bit. But I've got one of the 3 running. I just need a few more minutes and slap the other 2 engines on, and I'll have all 3 going. This is what I went and picked up today. It is a Ditch Witch 3500. It's got the 3-cylinder Deutz air-cooled diesel in it. I say air-cooled, it's air and oil-cooled. It actually has oil that surrounds the cylinders, and there's an oil cooler, and it helps cool them, and it has its own little oil cooler separate from the hydraulic oil cooler. And this one's kind of a neat machine. It's got rear steer, of course, like a lot of them do, but this entire assembly goes from one side of the machine to the other. So you can have it in the center, you can have it over here, you can have it over there, It doesn't have a lot of travel, but sometimes it's just enough where you can get up against a form or something, or closer to a building without getting into the building. Now, the problem he said this had was they had it on a real steep incline trenching, and it just started smoking real bad, and they just parked it. Well, like everything, I got to do all this other work to figure out, to get to the part where they had it. Well, for starters, this is the fuel supply line. It wasn't even connected. The fuel return line was just laying there. I'm assuming it goes there. It can't go anywhere else. I do need to put a clamp on it. So the fuel line wasn't even connected to the engine. There's supposed to be a tensioner on this belt. I don't remember if it's out here or if it tensions it. And I guess it has to be this way. And there's a safety switch on it where if this belt breaks, it's supposed to kill the motor, which I'd bet money it's not hooked up, or it's bypassed. But if you'll see how thin that belt is, it's smoked. It is extremely worn, and that runs the blower for the air cooling, which goes through here. I have this cover, and then it goes through the head and out the other side. So I'm gonna have to get a idler to make a tensioner for that, and probably get the correct belt. But what has happened is I put a battery on it, made sure it was full of engine oil because it was low, and made sure there was nothing that was going to catch on fire, and then I started cranking on it, and immediately I started dumping engine oil out of the muffler. The muffler sits on there like that, and there's probably still some in it. Nope, I guess I finally drained it all out. Anyways, it had a pretty good stream of oil coming out of the exhaust. And I'm like, ugh, that's never good on any engine, much less a diesel. So I believe I've got a blown head gasket, and it's the #1 cylinder. These had a little bit of oil in them, but I think it was just what was blowing around in there. I haven't got it to fire up yet, because one, that's a major issue, and two, the fuel system's got to be all bled and everything. All the gauges are in a nice little cluster laying up inside the dash, and I'll bet money none of them work. The fuel might, nope, I bet it don't either. Anyways, I've got, now this is a hydrostat, of course. I've got to lube it because it's really stiff, but it does move. Further forward you push it, the faster you go, and then it's got basically one, it might have a little bit of reverse travel in it. And then this is for your trencher in the back. You can reverse the trencher to get a rock out of it or whatever. And then neutral, no digging. Hard digging, easy digging, which I'm sure all that is the speed of it. Which you can see here, digging chain, speed, or direction. So if you're in hard stuff, have it going slow. If you're in easy, like around here with all this sand, crank her on up. It's got a hand throttle and a foot throttle. They both work. It's hydraulic steering. It works. This little lever runs the whole entire digging boom from side to side. And then those controls operate the front blade. It's a 6-way blade, so it'll angle, up and down. It'll angle left and right, and then of course straight up and straight down. I believe that's what 3 of the handles are for. One of those handles actually runs the boom back here. This, well, I take that back. One of these is for your rear steer, and this switch here is so you can make it crab walk. You can lock that in, and whenever you turn the steering wheel, both axles turn at the same time. Or you can kick it the other way and you only steer in the front axle, and you can manually steer the rear one. So it's got some wear on it, but it's not bad. That idler sprocket looks good. The tail roller looks good. Of course, I'm going to lube everything up really good before I even put this into use. This I don't like. That bolt is supposed to go all the way through to this other plate, and like this. So that has a lot of stress on this one side of the chain. Same thing with that one. All these bolts are supposed to go all the way through, and there's not many of them that do. In fact, that may be the only one that does. The rest of them come close, they're hitting, but that's still not going to cut it. That'll flex and it'll end up bending it and busting the chain or wearing it out prematurely. The rollers, you know, they're kind of hourglass shaped, but not very bad. Now the drive sprocket, it's starting to curve. Some of them are wore more than others. It could have had a rock in there when it was running. The discharge auger's in pretty good shape. Of course, who knows when this thing was even lubed up and greased last. A lot of ditch witch stuff like these cylinder ends, they're not greasable anyways. They have a fiberglass insert on the rod end. You have to cut and knock it out. Just, you know, slice it where it'll make itself smaller. So first project is going to be getting the head off of this thing and ordering a head gasket and getting it installed. Get a belt and an idler, get that installed, get the fuel line run properly. But for now, once I get the head gasket and all that, I'm just going to run it off of this can, and I may even put an electric pump to get it to prime up to the mechanical pump. And this has an injection pump per cylinder, so that's what these three are, and then they pump up to the actual head to the injectors. So I'm excited about getting this one going. Would it be nice to keep it and make money with it? Heck yeah, it'd be great. But for what it is, I got what I have in it, I can make a really good profit on this thing. I got this thing for a song and a dance. Actually, I only got it for the song. I didn't even. So yeah, this will be a good little money making project as long as I don't have a bunch more tied up in it. But I won't really know for sure until I pull the head gasket. There's chances I could have valve problems with it too, but with that much oil, and I mean it would literally, I could fill it, which is what I did when I first got out here. I checked the oil, it was on the stick but it was real low. I filled it up to level full. Just cranking on it pumped every bit of the motor oil out of it. So this thing must have a heck of a lot of compression, or it has really good oil pressure, or both, but it drained it. And I mean it's probably not even on the stick now. Yeah, see, it's back where it was when I started, barely on the stick. So that is going to definitely have to be taken care of. Luckily, the engine itself doesn't seem to have any physical damage. He said when it started smoking, they pretty much shut it down immediately, parked it, and it's been sitting for, I don't know, several years. Cool thing about these machines too is you can take this assembly off and you can put backhoes on them. It probably even has the hydraulic lines or fittings that are capped off underneath for that. So that's something, if somebody wanted to put it back on it later, they could. But I thought I had this tractor sold, and I still might. A guy wanted to buy it just for the front end loader. He's got the farm version of this tractor, which the whole frame axle setup's a little bit different. He said he thinks he can make it work, but then he called me today. I was actually supposed to deliver this to Gainesville tomorrow, and he told me today he doesn't think it's going to work now, but he wants to come back out tomorrow morning and double check, look at it again. He still may buy it. And I told him, I said, well, worst case scenario, if you don't want it, I'm going to pull the loader off and I'll sell it to somebody, because it's in really good shape. It's ugly, but it has not had any breaks, cracks, repairs in it other than the bucket. The bucket, it looks like it's a homemade bucket, and it's not as big as the original one. And with this being what it is, an industrial tractor, I would assume it belonged to the county, with the water bottle holder on the fender, and just being an industrial tractor. For all I know, it came from Oklahoma, and they could have used it for shoveling salt to fill trucks, and that's probably why the original bucket might have just rotted out, or they just broke it and wore it out for use. It's amazing they didn't break the loader. Unless this is, no, that's factory, I believe. Them welds look too nice to be something, unless they had a really good welder doing it. No, that's probably factory. It's got the same exact stuff on both sides. No, I don't know. It kind of comes down, hangs off. That could have been a repair. Anyways, that would be a place for it to break, there or here, and that don't look like it's been repaired or re-welded. But anyway, so if he decides for some reason he don't want it, I'll just come out here and spend the afternoon. That rollover protection is part of the, what holds part of the loader frame on. I'll just start cutting bolts, pull the assembly off, the hydraulic tank, the valve, everything that has to do with the loader. I'll sell it for $500, $600, $700, and then I'll either sell the tractor as a whole like it sits, or I'll just haul it across the scales. I hate to do that to a piece of machinery, but I've got to get out of the tractor stuff and get back into things like this. Construction equipment, skid steers, they sell. I mean, I can always get rid of construction equipment. This, I may have it sold Friday. I told the guy $300 he can get it just like it sits. I mean, it hasn't been on the road since 2014, but I was still going to take a few parts off of it for mine. I may still take this out because my switch is bad, so I may rob that out before it goes. But it's a complete axle, it's a complete rolling chassis. You got the rear end, front end, all that good stuff. It's not really worth nothing to me right now. I'm to the point I'm ready to start clearing everything out of here and start over, and like I said, just go back to strictly construction equipment. I talked to my uncle. I told him I'd give him that if I could get it running. If he says he don't want it, I'm just going to list it on the marketplace, try to get my money back. Now the K20 frame, I've had a million of people asking questions about it, wanting it. And the biggest question is it a Kingpin 60 front axle? Well, no, it's not. It's a D44. It'll still work. It'll work under a 1 ton, 3/4 ton, half ton, whatever. It's 8 lug. But everybody thinks you got to have the D60, you know. Yeah, is it stouter? Well, yeah, obviously. But it doesn't matter. For me, I have no problem at all driving around with the Dana 44 in it. This van is already sold. He's going to come back and pick it up sometime after Thanksgiving, because we're going to be going, like I said, to the ride park for Thanksgiving. We're going to a ride park in Arkansas and ride around the side-by-sides. It's kind of a crazy Thanksgiving. I intended on taking the Polaris. That's why I've been doing all this work to it. Pretty much every bearing and bushing's been replaced. I did get the carrier bearing in, and believe it or not, it really wasn't that bad of a job. What helped is it already had a 2-piece bearing in it, so that did help a lot. But as far as getting the axles and stuff out, that wasn't that big of an ordeal. It took longer to get all the plastics and stuff off. But after I did all this work, this was this past Saturday, I went to take it for a spin. Well, guess what? I have no brakes now. Pedal just goes to the floor. And without any brake pressure, it won't start because it's got a pressure switch like a safety. So now I get to put a master cylinder in it. Ugh. This thing is a huge money pit. And if you'll remember, I did a video on this right when I bought it. You know, and the guy's like, oh yeah, you know, he listed it as mechanically sound, it's just ugly. I'm like, dude, I can handle the ugly, I can fix that up. I've already peeled the decals off the bed that were half missing. I used paint stripper and got all the hydro dipping off the front end and then just repainted it black. And I have all the pieces, the hoods inside. Because I was checking on the winch wiring. I had to disassemble the winch in order to get the front bushings in the lower control arms. I had to remove the winch. Well, to get the winch off, you had to take the whole bumper off, and it just turned into a whole, let's just pull the whole front end off so I can put new bushings in it. But at least they're done. And I will not be going back with a winch inside there like it originally had. It was original Polaris winch, which it says Polaris on it. I'm sure it's made by Warren or somebody else. But what I will be doing is putting a receiver in the bumper and putting a set of those electric quick connects to attach to the winch controller. And if I need a winch, I'll just slap it in the receiver and plug in those quick connects, because that thing is a huge pain in the ass to get to, and I'm not going through that again. So Anyhow, now, even though I said I wasn't going to get any other, you know, farm equipment or tractors, I did get this old Murray riding mower just because it was practically a gift. I think I get $50 for it. It's got a little Tecumseh engine in it, I don't know, 16.5 horsepower, single cylinder, overhead valve. It is a hydrostat. You know, I'll do a will it run video on this. I like it because it's actually got a steel hood. Now it's probably going to need all 4 tires, or I may just slime them, throw some lighter fluid in them, boom, seat them and hope for the best. These little Murrays, I mean, they get a bad rap, but they're really pretty damn dependable. Oh God, don't stop. I mean, these things last and last. I mean, look at the seat. This thing's been sitting out in the weather. But what helped it is it's actual rubber. So, yeah, given it enough time, the rubber will dry out and it get brittle, but I'm not too worried about that. There's your mower engagement, just a mechanical clutch, I guess you could say. Deck looks like it's in good shape. I mean, other than if the tires were aired up and this thing was washed off, it would look like a decent little mower. Oh no, it hasn't got headlights. Oh, that's right. Who the hell mows at night? Okay, not me. But, you know, it'll need a fuel filter. I'm sure I'll have to pull the carburetor off and go through it. Hopefully the hydrostat's in good shape. And what is that? Oh, that's to get the deck. What is that? Oh, there's a reason for that. If you remember what it is, put it in the comments. It's to get it like low. I think you do that to take the deck off the machine or replace the belt. That's why it's got that little cover. I believe that's why. Like I said, if you know why it's like that, leave me a comment and let me know. I'll probably end up using this battery on that because I think that's actually going to be running, driving, and mowing long before this one is. But anyhow, like I said, I got to get rid of a bunch of this crap around here and go back to just construction equipment. I need to get that little Bobcat in the shop this winter, or we get one of them rainy, cold weeks. I need to get it in there. I've got a little 5-horse Briggs in it right now, so I can actually fire it up and drive it with that. And it has no lack of power with the 5-horse. Now, once the loader arms are on there and it has all that hydraulic stuff, the 5-horse is no longer going to work. But I might possibly have a single cylinder engine coming for that thing. I'm even selling my square body dually up there. As much as it pains me, because I've been wanting one so bad for so long, I finally got one. But the fact of the matter is, guys, when you need money, you need money. And in between payments on my jobs, I need money. I got bills to pay, I got a house payment to make, I got one vehicle payment, thankfully. Insurance on the vehicles. I got insurance on the square body that I don't even drive, which I hear about that pretty regular, and I need to cancel that because that's just kind of throwing money away. But here's the bases, the actual vibratory part of the other two plate compactors. There's the frame. I've already pulled the motor off of that one, and I still have to pull the motor off of this one. And this one is already complete. It's not very pretty, but it's been pressure washed. It runs. I haven't cranked it since yesterday, so bear with me here. Let's see if we can get it to run again. It should. I don't know if I'm gonna rev it up because it'll pound the shit out of the concrete. Choke. Give it a little throttle. It'll work. that's one of those things that as long as it runs all the time, you know, it'll be fine. But guys get stuff like this, they leave it out in the rain, or they use it once in a while and they forget about it, and then you need to crank anything with an engine up, you know, once a week or so. Just go out and fire it up, let it run for a few minutes, or let it run out of gas and put some more back in it. That's the other thing. You don't want to leave gas in anything more than a few months. I've got to pull this clutch off of that engine to put on. I'm debating. I'm thinking about pulling the engine off the alternator welder and putting it on the other one of these. And that clutch off of this engine will go right on it. And then, I know, and it's a freaking mess around here. I've got, let's see, I think this engine, yeah, that's too small. It's just got a 5/8 shaft. I should have one, possibly two more. Okay, here's a 4 horsepower. Ooh, don't fall over. I said don't fall over. Nope, that's only got a 5/8 shaft too. I should have another one though somewhere that has a 3/4 shaft. I don't know, I've got so many dang motors and stuff laying around here. If not, I'll get on the marketplace and find an old tiller or something, or another pressure washer. Those things are cheap if you can find one that's the pump's froze and busted on. Or I could always spend the time and try to get one of these engines running if I can take enough parts off of the others. That one's probably got a good carburetor. I did have to take the spark plug boot off of it because the one on my pressure washer just crumbled and broke the other day, so it quit running. But I could take the muffler off of this one, put it on this one. That one's probably got the best carburetor since it's actually maybe somewhat sealed up. Well, this one would probably be better. This might be the best one all the way around. It's got a solid muffler, solid everything other than the pull start. And I think I can just get online and buy one of them for probably 10 or 15 bucks. And then the same guy that I got the compactor and the ditch witch from sold me this concrete saw. It was a rental from Sunbelt, and it needs a pull start also, but it's an industrial engine. It should have a cast iron sleeve. It's got the better air filter on it because obviously it's really dusty conditions. The water tank is completely shot, but you can put a garden hose on these, I believe. Yeah, and you can still make them work. Let me get this real quick. Okay, are we recording? Yes, we are. All right, sorry about the interruption. That was a good buddy of mine. Me and him do a lot of wheeling and dealing. I've got a lot of stuff from him. He has his own business like I do, but his is not like mine. He makes actually a lot of money. He does, he doesn't really do landscaping. He does lawn mowing, he does tree trimming, mulching. This time of year he does firewood. He's got, I don't know if he built this himself, but he's got one of them firewood processors that's really nice. It has the it has 2 work tables that'll lift the logs up and set them on the splitters, and then they split it. I think it's got the crossbars where it splits it up into like 6 or 8 pieces, and then it has conveyor belts that run that off and dump it in a pile. But what's cool about the machine, it's got a roof over it. It has fans on it and stuff, and everything's foot operated, but it's actually hydraulically driven, so you can unload it somewhere. I think you can, it has a hitch on it where you can unlock the wheels and drag it like a trailer, but you can unhitch it somewhere and then you can drive it around from like one wood pile to the next, which is super handy. But he does that stuff in the winter time. And so back to what we were talking about. Let me get me some tobacco here so I can calm down. I had sent him pictures of what I got because he always likes to see what I got. I sent him pictures of the trencher and the compactor, and his exact words were, the text just said, "Badass, keep the trencher," which part of me wants to, because I mean this would be a good money maker. I used to do a lot of trenching a couple of years ago. Back then it wasn't very, I want to say I was getting like $1 a foot maybe, I don't know. Some jobs I wasn't even getting that. It's kind of one of them, you know, what do you pay me and I'll do it. How many feet you got? Yeah, okay. This machine would do a lot more than them, because them machines I had were just little walk behind machines, and some of the places I were trenching, it was hard digging, and I mean some of them jobs I lost money because it took so long to dig with them walk behind machines. This one, having the boom going side to side, helps a little if I'm up against something close. The blade really helps a lot, especially with the weight of this machine and being four-wheel drive and being a 6-way. You can actually do some grading with it to an extent. Now the turn is kind of cheesy. It works, but the way it works is it's got a big pivot in there, and that whole assembly turns. I mean, it does a trick. It's for backfilling, so it works great for that. And I'm assuming, you know, the whole 6-way blade thing is if you're trenching on the incline, you can adjust the blade to match the incline and still backfill it. But you could theoretically do minor grading with it. And like I said, with the machine being four-wheel drive and just the sheer weight of it, you should actually be able to do some pretty decent grading, especially around here. But to reiterate on everything, I've got to spend the next few days, or well, actually, yeah, just the next few days, because we're going out of town soon. I need to spend the next few days trying to sell as much of this junk as I can. I need to get that Model A compressor up to the shop, because I think it's just got straight water in it. I need to winterize that, and I need to drain the gas out, get it back running again, and relist it. The Detroit, I'm not worried about that because it's already got all the water drained out of it. I'm not worried about it freezing. The Bobcat, of course, it's got a 5-horse Briggs. It ain't gonna do nothing. That machine, I need to check it because it is a water-cooled diesel, and I don't know if it has coolant in it or not. Worst case scenario, I'll pop the bottom hose off, let it drain the water out, and not even worry about it if it is pure water. And I have one of those little the little sight glass things you put, I forgot what the heck they call it. Cooks use them too, but you can actually put a drop of coolant in it and look through it, and it'll tell you what it's rated to cool. You know, if it's rated to go to -20, or if it's only rated to, you know, keep from freezing at 0 or whatever. It's a good way to test fluid and be like, oh, okay, it's good. So I do have that I could test the stuff with, but I really need to just kind of clean house and start over. And selling all this stuff, I should be able to free up money to buy some more good things, like the trencher and the compactor and the 3 little plate compactors. That was just kind of a spur of the moment deal. I've actually intentionally and deliberately not been looking at the marketplace because I didn't have the spare cash to buy anything. So I didn't want to go on and be like, oh crap, there's a deal of the century. You know, I've been just staying away from it until the other day, and I literally had like $300 to spare, and I was looking on the marketplace and I found this compactor and it was $300. He had just listed it, and I'm like, dude, I got to get that right now, because it's probably worth at least $2,000 to $3,000 getting it running. Now if I repaint it and put the decals on it, I might even get more than that. It's kind of one of them things, the more money you put in it, the more you can get out of it, to an extent. Excuse me. I do have to make another one of these scrapers, so I'll take one of these and unbolt it and just build one. That'll be pretty cut and dry with a plasma cutter. Looks like it's 3/8 plate. In fact, I have some of that around here. I have some 3/8 flat bar. It's like 6 or 8 inches wide. It'd be perfect to make one of them. So, if it hadn't been for looking on the marketplace, I wouldn't have that, I wouldn't have this, and I wouldn't have them 3 plate compactors. But I believe I've already got that one sold, and it'll pay for all of them. And I think it even pays for this. So then I get my money back for all that stuff. And then I still have this one to sell and the other 2 plate compactors. So I've got to get a pull start for this. Luckily it has a blade on it. I need to take the water tank off and just hook that hose directly to this one. Well, actually that one's long enough. I may get a new hose anyways. And it'll just be one of them things, you can't use the water tank, you have to use the hose. Which, it'll work either way. It's just more convenient if you have a water supply on here, then you don't have to drag a hose around with you while you're cutting. Not my problem, it'll be the new owner. And this one's new enough, it actually has the rib belt, which is kind of cool. Direct drive. Got the hand crank to raise and lower it, and it works. Flip down handle. I'm not sure what this is for. Maybe that locks the handle in to keep it from dropping. I have no clue. Not real familiar with these concrete saws. I do know that's a guide wheel, which is severely bent. That'll have to be straightened out, which take it off, beat on it with a hammer, straighten it out. Should be pretty straightforward. Oh, there's a lot of play in that wheel too. Might have to fix that. But there's your depth gauge that does not move with the... Is it even hooked up? Nope. Okay, well, I have to fix that too. I wish I could find a tank for that. That would be kind of handy, but again, that's not my thing. Pull the carburetor off. I may look on eBay when I get the pull starter and just get a whole tune-up kit with the recoil, carburetor, plug, new coil, air filter, blah blah blah, the whole shooting match. And it's low on oil, so it's been leaking oil out of the engine block. But anyhow, guys, so that's the plan. We're gonna walk out here and make sure I lock my truck up. It's about time to get in, get a shower. Yeah, I watched this 5:45, and it's still on the old time because I don't have the buttons on this thing to change it back. They've been broke off, so it's actually 4:45. But so yeah, that's the plan. Get rid of everything, start over. I'll have a bunch of Will It Run videos to do. I'll do a Will It Run on the Murray. I'll do a Will It Run on the Ditch Witch. I'll do a Will It Run on the Vermeer. I was going to do a Will It Run on that, but it's still stuck. I'm just really tired of messing with it. I would do a Will It Run on this thing, but that thing's already pissed me off. I'm about ready to just sell it. It's just turned into a massive money pit. I did come out here today, and it actually had some brake pedal, and it started up because it allowed the pressure switch to work, and now it's a dead pedal again. So I'll bet it's still, yep, has no pressure at all. So hopefully that guy will come get that after Thanksgiving. Hopefully that frame will be gone possibly tomorrow or the next day. I think that chassis is going Friday. I need to find out about that Ford. If he don't want it, then I'm listing that thing. I will keep the BF Avery because I want to pull the engine and see how hard it's going to be to put the little Kubota diesel in it. If it's not a giant ordeal, I may go ahead and do that, just because that'd be a super cool little tractor with a little tiny diesel engine in it. And it would actually be more powerful than what's in it now because it's only rated to like 9 horsepower. So the one I'm putting in, I think, is 14 or 16 horsepower. But right now I'm really excited about getting this machine, and I'm just hoping and praying that that's all it is, the head gasket. It'd be nice to have a win for once, because if that fixes it, I'll buy another headlight for it. Not that I'd be trenching at night. Well, I say that. I have done some trenching jobs well after dark before, but it would look nice if they were both back on it. Pressure wash it and get all this moss and algae crap off of it. Put another light up there, fix the wiring, just make it look nice. And it is going to need 4 tires, which that's going to be kind of pricey, but that's part of it. You buy this equipment, you're going to have to put money in it. The trick is to put as little as you can in and have them be dependable. Okay, here's what we got going on today. We're going to try to pull the head on this thing. They got a lot of these weird Torx, female Torx. I bought this socket set like probably 10, 15 years ago. Probably closer to 15. I think I've used them once. This will be like the second time ever. So, let's get after it. Got a lot of covers to take off to get. Yeah, let's get this out of here first. Let's see what it's going to take to get the cooler off. And I guess not much. It sets down in some O-rings. Which will have to be replaced later after all this. Well, at least I didn't get oil all over me like I did yesterday. I bet these are torque to yield bolts too. The only thing I don't like about this little, it's not really an extension, it's more, it's got a magnet so you don't lose the nuts, but the magnet won't fit through the hole in the socket all the way, but it'll work. After I get all these broke loose, I'm probably going to fire up the welder and use the vac one more time, since I'm breaking all this crud loose, so I can keep that much from going down in the engine. Let's hit it one more time with a vacuum. Better be safe than sorry. If we was working in a shop, we wouldn't even need to run the welder to run that. Oh, there's a couple more there, little ones. Turn line there. I'll probably go ahead and pull that intake off too. Them bolts back in. Hopefully I won't knock them on anything and snap them off. I don't know how heavy this head is. It's probably not going to be super light. I may leave the intake on. That may give me a good handle. But I do need to take the injectors loose. That's going to be too big. Good. That return line is a pain in the butt. Must be a 14. Could be a 13. Possibly. I'm just putting these on backwards so we don't lose them or get them all bent up. Yeah, that one was actually getting diesel to it from all the cranking. That's a good sign. It should start up. All right. Screwdriver. See if it tries to come loose. Nope, it ain't gonna come loose there. Or is it? Yeah. Big old long bolts. Yeah. Okay. Get the battery off and sit somewhere. Put the phone out of my pocket so I don't break that. And just pick this heavy sucker up. Yep, head gasket is blown. So that's what I wanted to see. Because that tells me about 99% sure that we have no other problems. Unless we got a broken piston or something like that. And I don't think we do. Alright, Could be wrong, but I think I still see the crosshatch in the cylinder. Hopefully that's a shadow and not a crack. If it is, we're really in trouble. Sure, that's a shadow. Yeah, let's see, where's my phone? I think it is a shadow. Yeah, you can definitely still see the crosshatch. I'll get you guys down. I don't know if y'all are going to be able to see it on the camera or not, but that black line right there is the shadow of this dash. So even running my finger across that. And then right above the shadow, you can see the crosshatch. Same there. Alright guys, so let's take the head over to the tailgate and flip it up and see if the bottom side's all beat to crap. It is pretty heavy. Well, it all looks good. Injector tips are good. That one's a little dirty. Finally, that there is some good news. I was hoping I didn't have any kind of like catastrophic engine damage. Now we just got to order a new head gasket. But I still don't understand what in the heck caused that gasket to blow down in the liner like that. Oh, no, I know exactly what caused it. Because he said they had it on an incline. No, that couldn't have been it. I was going to say the compression of the piston pushed up and blew the gasket. But that would mean oil already had to be inside the cylinder wall. Unless they had it on that much of an incline, maybe. I don't know. That don't look good either. Could be wrong, but I think them are supposed to be unclogged. Let's see if we can get the pick down in there. That could be part of the problem too. If them oil passages are clogged up. It's going to put the oil somewhere, and I guess it could shove it up through the valve. I don't know. Need a straight pick. Yeah, look at that. Yeah, I believe that's an oil galley. Maybe. And that could have happened after, I would think, after they parked this thing. I don't know. Well, we're going to have to come out here in a day or two anyways and cover all this up because it's supposed to rain, I think, Thursday. No, I think Sunday and Monday. I think we're good this week, but I'm going to be out of town and I don't want this getting rained in. So I may just gently set the head back on here. Definitely needs an oil change. think any of the push rods are bent. Which if they are, it'd be number 1 piston. They're not. Yeah, you can see that crosshatch over there too. And I mean, this crosshatch is in. This thing probably doesn't even have that many hours. I mean, it's been sitting for a long time, but that is super, super, super good news. I bet that belt ain't got a number on it nowhere. Well, I can probably Google that and figure out which belt that takes. I'm happy. I'll need to get return lines. There's what I was talking about earlier. It actually has a fitting crimped onto this return hose, and then it goes into the bigger rubber line that goes back to the tank. So probably a good idea too is while I'm at this point of the game, do some work on these gauges and stuff. That's an alarm. And lube up all these linkages. Alright, well, there you go, guys. That's what I was hoping for, to see something really obvious with the head gasket, and I did. Alright guys, as I was saying, that's what I wanted to see. I wanted to see something really super obvious with that head gasket, and I did. I mean, that thing was blown. So I'll just have to source the head gasket and whatever, the return lines, whatever other little pieces and parts I need to get this thing back together, get it working, and then I will definitely need that one tire or tube replaced. It's already went flat, sitting from yesterday, which it's not a big deal. I can air it up and it should hold long enough to run everything on the machine and test it out. But as it sits right now, it's just a lot of time putting all this stuff back together. And of course I'll have to get the torque specs and things like that. But otherwise, I think we're going to be all right. So I'm gonna get the head back off the truck. I got to run down and get a keypad for my gate and or another remote, because I've only got one remote to get in here, and it's kind of a pain sometimes, especially if I got it in one truck and with all the, you know, I got to keep my pickup locked and then I got to unlock it, and it's just one thing after another. So I've got a guy come in. He's going to take some more measurements on this loader. I don't think he's going to get it. The way he talks, this whole rear axle is different. But I think, I could be wrong. I thought the rear end of the industrial and the rear end of the farm are the same. And I don't think he's understanding that it's got these other bolt holes that are not being used. So I don't know. He's gonna look it up. He may still get it, he may not. If he don't, like I said, it ain't no sweat. I mean, I'll take the loader frame off, the hydraulic tank, and I've already got the pump off, and anything that's associated with that. The valve is of course part of the frame, the loader frame. And then I'll just sell the loader frame separate. I mean, there's one on the marketplace right now for like $1,400-1,500 bucks, which it probably won't bring that much, but I'm asking, I think, $750 for the whole tractor as it sits. So if I take the loader off, sell it for $600 or $700, then I can take the tractor and I'll probably pull the back wheels. I'll pull all 4 wheels and tires off of it. These I'll just give them away to somebody to make fire pits out of, and they'll just have to take the tires with them. Front ones I'll probably put them on the marketplace for free also. They're good wheels, they just need better tires on them. and then I'll just take the hull and drag it across the scales. I hate to do that. I mean, there's probably a good injection pump, and probably the head's still good, and lots of other pieces and parts, but I don't have time to piecemeal it out. So I'm gonna add this in with the other videos, guys. I tried videoing this morning. It ain't nothing special. I just painted this thing, but for some reason I forgot to hit record, so it didn't record. And I don't know if you can see the little gnats flying around, but it never fails. There won't be a bug around, and the minute I paint something, they're all over it. It's like the paint attracts them. So anyways, that being said, guys, now my phone's ringing. I'm gonna let you go, and I hope you enjoy the video.